the show with your friend and mine. So tell me, Dr. Squee, who's it gonna be this time? We like to hear you talk, and we love to hear you listen. And if you are not subscribed, you won't know what you're missing. So welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Headphones up. Here we go.
Hello, if I can manage to add myself to the screen, and welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. I'm Dr. Squee, and this is my show. So, unlike normal, it's a bit of a kind of guerrilla attack episode of the show. I didn't get time to sort of really prepare anything or advertise anything for this week. Been a bit tired after getting back from a lovely weekend at the Sci-Fi Weekender, which we will bring you some highlights of soon, but I've got to edit them and play about with them and make them fit for air. But until we do, I thought it might be fun to do a little bit of a different show this week. So, as some may know, but many will not, it is Neuro-divergency Celebration Week. And what that's about is about people who've got ADHD, autism, dyslexia, BPD, and many other conditions which go under that umbrella. But it's celebrate people who kind of think a bit differently, essentially. And I myself grew up knowing that I had dyslexia from school. And then I found out a bit later that I had ADHD. In fact, I say a bit later, I've recently found this out, and I'm currently on the waiting list for a diagnosis. So I thought what I'd bring you this week was a little while ago, I joined a group at work, which is for neurodivergency. And I was talking to them about the fact that a lot of us seem to kind of share a love of sci-fi, which many of you, most of you, I'm sure will know that I love. And it seemed really interesting that people with neurodivergency tended to be more apt to be into sci-fi. And I believe the kind of like percentage of people into sci-fi who are ND is higher than in the general population, if you like. So I wrote this little piece all about it. My alarm, of course, goes off just as I go live. Thank you. So we know my washing's done as well. Because I have to organize things because my ADHD does not let me keep on top of stuff usually. But anyway, I digress. So I wrote this bit about kind of how sci-fi helped me through, especially when I was younger, how my love of sci-fi influenced me from a very young age and helped me through some really tough times when I felt isolated from the world. So I thought I'd read that out for you tonight, and then we'll be back with a full normal show next week. But let's go for this. And forgive me, please. Actually, because I'm dyslexic, from a young age, I got really kind of nervous about doing live reading of things. So forgive me if I stumble a bit. I've got more confident with it over the years, but here goes. So sci-fi and neurodivergency. Having discovered the neurodivergent community being the process of diagnosis for ADHD, I attended a recent group at work. The subject that came up from a few attendees was science fiction. It made me think about my past and how I've turned to strange new worlds for respite from this world, which I often found myself at odds with. It was when I was at school, my love of sci-fi, in my case TV and film, began, and how it was inextricably linked to my ND. I was bullied, I knew I was different, and I knew I was dyslexic. I assumed it was this learning difference that put me at odds with the world. It would only be a year ago from the present that I would start the process of diagnosis for ADHD. Close to 2 years now, but anyway. The term neurodivergent entered my life and explained itself to be an umbrella for different thinkers like me. It gave me a community to look to who had shared experiences that society at large had previously firmly let me know was just me being weird. Young me had none of this support. No one really knew much about ADHD, autism, or what it truly meant, and that maybe, as well as being us bending, and sorry, I'll start that line again. No one really knew much about ADHD, autism, what it truly meant, and that maybe, as well as us bending to blend into society and function in it, maybe that society would have to do some work to make the increasing number of people being identified with ND able to function at our best. Back then, when you were different, you needed to change. If you didn't, you were most definitely the problem. One of my brothers had the same kind of dyslexia as me. When he went to school just 3 years before me, he was sat in the corner doing jigsaws. When Mum found out, she not only hit the roof, but also struck into action to make it clear her son would not be ignored to make it easier for the teacher. Having been on the receiving end of my mother's wrath, I know the teachers didn't stand a chance. So it was. By the time I went to school, there were 4 special needs teachers, including 2 learning assistants. They were well versed in dyslexia, with all bar one seemed to actually get it and treat me with respect and dignity in the way the rest of the school experience usually lacked for me. Without wanting to dwell, bullying involved, but was not limited to, being stabbed with a Stanley knife in the backside. If I told anyone, it would have been laughed at and ridiculed, so until now, I never told a soul. Having everything in my bag taken out and thrown around, sometimes I'd get it back, sometimes not. Physically being beaten, and one particularly lovely teacher mockingly reading out some creative writing he found in my bag to the class when he decided it was too untidily packed. I was at odds with the world. My parents owned 3 shops, one of which we lived above, so Mum could check in on me after school. But mainly, I was a latchkey kid from a young age. My dad was on councils for my hometown of Romsey, running to be mayor. I promise SciFi is coming into this, by the way. Mum and Dad also went on the board of governors for school. I had no doubt to make sure my brothers and I had the best experience. My brothers were older. I was their annoying, hyper little brother and was best ignored if they could. They were into sports, which I was not. Sports from school to me represented the bullies being able to physically abuse me and say it was part of the game. So watching it didn't appeal. However, my next closest in age brother was also into sci-fi. My two great loves of his were Doctor Who and Star Trek, he said, in danger of getting to the point of this article. If live sport was on one of the 4 channel options, rising to a mighty 5 in the 90s, it would be unquestionably go on the TV, and without the ability of on-demand or to record TV, save for a VHS tape, it wasn't a TV not playing. There wasn't. Pardon me. Save for a VHS tape. If there wasn't a TV not playing Football Scottish League 2, then my ability to watch anything interesting to me was gone. So when my brother put on Star Trek the original series or Doctor Who, I was instantly hooked. In my earliest TV memory, Peter Davison was the TARDIS incumbent Time Lord, with sweet, mild-mannered comparison Nissa Traken, spunky and often hard to deal with flight attendant Tegan Jovanka, and Turlo. The mysterious schoolboy, throughout his adventures with the Doctor, wore his school uniform and tried to kill the Doctor when they first met. Although it was old repeats, Star Trek the original crew was new to me, and their daring adventures under James T. Kirk mesmerized me at tea time on BBC Two. At the time, if you were to ask me why I like these shows, I could have told you I enjoyed this. I could have told you I enjoyed the space travel, meeting other races and crews on various spaceships. I now see clearly something else was happening. I had few friends and often felt lonely. When I switched on these shows and others such as Red Dwarf, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and movies like Flight of the Navigator and Short Circuit, all had a misfit group of friends banding together or an individual finding their worth. Even when the characters disagreed, no matter how different they were, these TV shows represented community and everyone being accepted. The Doctor could look past Turlo's attempt to kill him at the bidding of the evil Black Guardian and become a mentor for Turlo, being a better person. The Doctor kept Tegan on board the TARDIS despite her constantly arguing with him, as her brave heart was in the right place. True, he could never get the TARDIS to Heathrow Airport on the right year to drop her off, but still. Nissa travelled with the Doctor after the death of her father and her planet. As an outsider herself, she just wanted people on the side of good like her and the Doctor, even when they didn't live up to it. For a child left behind and mostly everyone on a personal level, this meant the world to me. Similarly, the bridge and the Enterprise engine room was filled with people from all over the world. America, Scotland, Japan, and even one of America's foes in the space race at the time, Russia, were there. Different races and genders treated no differently, aside from some overly short skirts for the female crew members, representing that one day we would all become together as one planet and celebrate our differences, not use them to exclude. When in Star Trek, in 1989, Star Trek Next Generation, now complete with men in skirts in the crew, hit our screens, indeed our local video stores, my brother would hire out the VHS tapes. I glanced upon the pretended Kirk swivel chair, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, with doubt. No one could replace my beloved Enterprise crew. After watching a few episodes, I dropped my grudge. Felt by many fans wary of change, maybe partly as a result of many sci-fi fans being neurodivergent. I soon fell in love anew. Not only were all humans accepted, but there were now aliens on the bridge, one in the guise of Lieutenant Worf, a Klingon, the most warlike race then known to Star Trek, the baddies. If one of them could be accepted, maybe I was okay too. I was a little loud, annoying, and distracted permanently, but to the best of my recollection, I had not gone to war to the Federation at the age of 9 as the Next Generation took to the stars. That's true of current time recording. It didn't change my outside world, but I created my own safe space to turn to. The term safe space has become mocked by some. It feels sometimes like the same people who make others feel at odds with the world need to take even this much needed respite from us. These spaces provide. No one could take Star Trek or my other beloved shows from me, even if I had to resort to audiobooks when sports was on. Even though it wasn't my go-to, I enjoyed Star Wars and understand the appeal of a small group of good guys going up against overwhelming odds and winning. This could feel very inviting to my fellow ND people, feeling the world was hard to relate to and maybe just a little oppressive, wanting us to change to be like them, to join the dark side. Dark side. Rebel strong, my friends. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention Back to the Future. The year's 1985. I was 6 as the movie that would change my life came out, and I got to see it on the big screen. Marty McFly was to me the embodiment of cool. He wore double denim, the coolest outfits of them all, and some shades. Man, did I want to be him. He was in a band playing some awesome rock music. Old squares didn't understand, and he was dating the best girl in school, Jennifer Parker. Did I mention I want to be him? On paper, I had nothing in common with this cool guy, with his boyish good looks. But when you look further into his character, he could have been the coolest kid in school, but we saw no signs of this. He knew his music was good, but his self-doubt would tell him people would tell him it was no good, that he had no future. He just couldn't take that kind of rejection. Luckily, he and his friends who did believe in him, his girl Jennifer, reassured him and listened to him and his music. His best friend, a grown man who was just as out there and as weird as I felt. He was really clever, but Doc Brown didn't do anything the way others did. He knew he was smart, and his methods would one day yield results. If not, he probably couldn't do things like everyone else anyway. He was a dreamer, and I related to him instantly. So, he was a dreamer. Maybe thinking differently, feeling insecure and being outcast by my peers would one day lead me to what I was meant to do, like my friends from this movie. Even if I never, to my shame, traveled in time again as a date of writing. Years later, I was studying counselling as a mature student, and I attended a lecture on attachment theory given by Sir Richard Bowlby, son of the deceased John Bowlby, who founded the theory and model. I saw many links between myself and the core concept of the theory, that those with attachment issues or suffer with insecure attachments to people. I would like to make it clear my parents were loving and did what they thought was right to provide everything I could reasonably wish for. However, the amount they worked and the lack of friends did lead me to feeling needy. I always worried those who I did trust would turn their backs on me, humiliate me, or somehow eventually choose others over me. I was thinking about this when the lecture moved on to someone who had attended a previous lecture and posed a question to Sir Richard, which he didn't know the answer to. The person had said that a movie poster on their wall as a child, they felt they'd had an attachment to this poster they hadn't with other people, and the poster had become a space of comfort when their home life was difficult at best. After the excellent lecture, I couldn't wait to talk to Sir Richard. Being too shy at the time to say something in class, I then told him about the attachment I felt to sci-fi shows, and that I was sure it was an attachment, just a one-sided one. The other side we could put all of our hope and expectations on. They couldn't let us down as easily as the people around us, and built a security for us. He smiled and agreed, looking around for someone to talk to about earlier to share this. Sorry. He smiled and agreed, looking around for someone he talked to earlier about this to share this with, and vowing he would remember this for future lectures, and if only I could have said this at the time. I felt elated and seen. Finding out about neurodivergency and my ND friends, old and new, colleagues, and the community that came with it has really been a revelation and an endless source of support, and I'm thankful for every day as I become more like my true self. But I'll never forget those early days when science fiction was my solace. Today, we have so many shows both in sci-fi world and beyond, such as The Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, and Sex Education, The A Word, and the new version of Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Star Wars, all celebrating diversity, inclusion, and difference. However, for some of us, those old sci-fi shows, movies, books, audiobooks, plays, musicals, music, it all got us through tough times until we could find our tribe and ourselves. Live long and prosper. And again, at time of writing, I have still not gone to war with the Federation. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that meant a lot to share to me, more than I was maybe expecting there at the end. We've just got I was going to say we've got a comment, but we've got some spam is what we've got. Apparently, if you want to WhatsApp Nab, then she's given out a number. So there we go. But thank you very much for watching. If you're just tuning in now, please do go back and watch the thing. If you want to. If not, thank you very much anyway. I hope you're having a good week. And to all my neurodivergent friends out there, and for those who are struggling especially, please hold on out there. There's such a community out there. Reach out, look up some of the Facebook groups, which can be excellent. Please do talk to other people in neurodivergency. It's so freeing and so liberating to find out that some of your struggles aren't just yours. You think you're on your own, and you think that these are things that only affect you, that only you experience. And there's so many things I didn't even think to question if it was just me or if it was something to do with dyslexia or ADHD or anything else. But the more of these groups I join, the more these people I talk to, the more I find these shared things, which just I'm not alone with anymore. And it means the world. So thank you for everyone who's both neurodivergent, who's an ally to neurodivergencies, who makes some space for people who are a bit different, whether it's neurodivergency or whatever else. It just means the world to people, especially when they've never had that before. So I'd like to thank you all. And thanks for watching, as always. We'll be back with the usual show. I'm going to bring you the highlights soon from the Sci-Fi Weekend starting next week. I spoke to Michael Troughton, Sarah Pimber, and loads of other people. We'll be bringing those to you soon. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Dr. Squee. That was my show. In a world where you can be truly anything, please live like you've got two hearts. Please be kind. And also, if you're still watching, just very quickly, please don't look up the radio show. I'm going to redo those credits, I promise, for next week. The radio show is debunked now. It's just all online. So have a good week, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.